What if perfectionism isn't just about wanting things to be perfect, but is a hidden fear that is stopping you from building up habits and making real progress towards your goals? If you've ever overthought, overanalyzed, or feel like nothing you do is ever good enough, especially when you're trying to be consistent, well, you may be stuck in the perfectionist mindset. Perfectionists often fall into the all or nothing thinking. For example, maybe you skip a workout because you can't stick to the full plan, or maybe you give up on your habit because you had one day off. To them, being imperfect feels like a failure, and I know because I was stuck in this cycle for many years too. And then I came across the book How to Be an Imperfectionist by Stephen Guise, and this completely shifted my mindset. And so in this video, I'm going to break down what perfectionism really is, how it might be quietly ruining your progress, and I'm going to be sharing 4 powerful strategies straight from the book which helped me to stop overthinking and to start moving forward. And one of these strategies is surprisingly simple, yet it completely changed the way I approach my habits. So what is the perfectionist mindset and where does it come from? Well, perfectionism isn't about being perfect, it's about trying to be perfect, or being afraid to take action unless you can guarantee a perfect result. It often shows up as someone setting unrealistically high standards for themselves, and then when they inevitably fall short, instead of adjusting their approach, they feel like a failure, and so then they avoid taking further action and their progress stalls. Here are some common signs that you might be stuck in the perfectionist mindset. Number 1, you procrastinate a lot because you're waiting for the right moment or waiting for the perfect conditions to start. Number 2, you're hypercritical of your own work even if it's good. Number 3, you avoid taking new risks or new challenges, especially when you might fail publicly. Number 4, you rarely finish projects because they're never quite ready. And number 5, you link your self-worth to your performance. If this sounds like you, well, you're not alone. In the book, Guise says perfectionism is not a personality trait, but it's a fear-driven response. But the good news is, just like any habit, this mindset can be unlearned. So using strategies straight from the book, How to Be an Imperfectionist, let's get into 4 ways you can learn how to overcome perfectionism and finally start making real progress. Number 1 is value actions over results. Progress doesn't come from doing things perfectly, it comes from doing things consistently. And so Guise recommends to focus on your actions, not your outcomes. But why? Well, outcomes are often out of your control, but actions are in your control. Perfectionists tend to focus on the end results. They're thinking about what if it's not good enough or what if they fail. And this kind of thinking leads them to paralysis because the pressure to succeed becomes so overwhelming that then they don't even begin. For example, let's say that you plan to work out, but because you can't do a 60-minute session, you decide to skip it entirely. You tell yourself that 30 minutes isn't even worth it. But this is perfectionism in disguise, because 30 minutes is indefinitely better than nothing and it would still mean you make progress. Did you show up and do some writing today? Then you won. Did you read 3 pages of your book? Then it's a success. Could you only study for 30 minutes instead of an hour? Well, that's still a win. Instead of asking yourself, was this perfect? Ask yourself, did I take action today? Did I show up? This small reframing of words puts the focus back on what you can control and detaches your self-worth from external validation or your results. And the more you do this, the more resilient and disciplined you will become, not because you're perfect, but because you're consistent. Number 2 is practice imperfection. For most perfectionists, the idea of making a mistake doesn't just feel uncomfortable, but it feels like a personal failure. Getting something wrong becomes proof that you're not good enough. And so one way to start testing your perfectionism is to do things badly on purpose. Because here's the truth, the failure that you're imagining in your head really isn't as serious as your mind makes it out to be. And this is what Guise calls imperfection training, which means to deliberately do things imperfectly. For example, challenge yourself to send out an email without obsessing over the wording, or upload the YouTube video that isn't perfectly edited, or speak up and have a conversation with someone even if your words might stumble. Because when you face the fear head on, you'll start to realize that nothing bad actually happens. No explosions happen, the world doesn't end, and nobody cares, and instead you now gain freedom. The more you expose yourself to imperfection, the less power it holds over you, and over time you stop letting fear dictate your actions. And I can personally 100% vouch that this method does work. Honestly, past Heather would have been so scared to upload on YouTube because she would have been so scared to get low views and it's going to look so embarrassing, she's going to fail, and all of this is going to be a reflection on her own self-worth. She was so scared to go to the gym in case she's going to do the exercises wrong and people are going to judge her. She was too scared to go up and speak to people in case it would be awkward or she would stutter in the conversation. But now I've just totally gotten used to the fact that I am imperfect and it's so freeing. Once you start to embrace your imperfections and lean into them, life just gets so much more fun and you just are able to be free and be yourself. Honestly, I mess up and do embarrassing things all the time. For example, at the start of this year, I paid 40 quid for someone to edit me a YouTube video and it got 90 views. I may as well have just set that 40 quid on fire. I also asked a guy out at work once and he said no, and then I had to see him every time in work. Also, I used to be a waiter and I worked in this like high-end restaurant where we were serving like Manchester football players and people from Love Island, and we used to have to serve wine, pour them the wine, and I used to be terrible at opening the wine. I always got the cork stuck in the screw thing, and I would just be in front of this group of people and they'd be looking at me and I'm like trying to get this freaking cork out and I'd have to go and ask for help, and sometimes they'd even be like, do you want me to do it? And I'd be like, nope. It's okay, I've got this, oh god, it was so embarrassing. And I'm sharing this with you because I don't care about these mistakes, because when you learn to embrace your imperfections, you then gain confidence over time because then you're not scared to take action. And taking action is what is going to help you to progress and move forward. I just wanted to quickly let you know that if you are someone who is struggling to build up better habits, then click the top link in the video description to join the free 30-day discipline challenge course and community, in which you'll get access to resources, videos, tips, and you'll be added to a private community with like-minded people who are also working on themselves and will help to motivate you and keep you accountable. I hope to see you in there. Number 3 is shrink the challenge. Perfectionism loves to turn simple tasks into overwhelming ones. Your mind convinces you that you need to do things big and perfectly or not at all. And so what happens? You procrastinate, you avoid taking action, and discipline and consistency goes straight out the window. And so instead, try to shrink the challenge by making the task small and easy that it seems almost ridiculous not to do it. For example, instead of trying to write the perfect essay, just try and write one imperfect paragraph. Instead of trying to go to the gym for a full hour, just focus on doing 2 push-ups. Or instead of trying to meal prep ahead for the whole week, just focus on meal prepping 1 meal. The key, Guy says, is to lower the pressure that it becomes so easy to begin. And so why does this work? Well, it's because action creates momentum, and momentum then makes progress and moves you forward. Because once you start to take action, your brain shifts gears. You stop overthinking and you start doing. That 1 paragraph can often turn into 2. Those 2 push-ups can often turn into 5. And even if it doesn't, you still took action, and this is what builds discipline. This is what moves you forward. Shrinking the challenge removes the perfectionist barrier that says, if I can't do it perfectly, then I won't do it at all. And instead, it invites you to just show up, and that's where real progress is made. Now, number 4 is use the willingness to be bad principle. One of the most damaging lies that perfectionism tells you is that you should be good at something straight away. That if you're not great at something on the first try, then you're just not cut out for it. Perfectionists hold themselves to unrealistic expectations, expecting every attempt to be flawless. And because of that enormous pressure, they often then don't try at all. But here's the shift, guys, teachers. Be willing to be bad. Be willing to be awkward. Be willing to be clumsy, cringy, embarrassing. Because doing something badly is better than not doing it at all. And this applies to everything. Your workouts, your diet, even something like social anxiety. If you expect to be perfect in a conversation, you'll avoid it. If you expect every workout to be perfect, you'll skip them. But if you're willing to be bad and be messy and clumsy and awkward, that's where real progress is made. This is what I did to overcome many of my fears and actually start to take action. Posting on YouTube, running, going to the gym, even my social anxiety. I just lowered my standards and expected myself to be bad in conversations. I expected myself to stutter and to be shy, and it didn't matter if I was bad, but what matters the most is that I did it. And so because I was willing to be bad, I did it over and over again until eventually I then became good at it. And now I have no social anxiety because I've done it so many times. And so stop expecting yourself to be amazing on day 1 and expect yourself to be bad but show up anyway, because that's what will help you move forward. That's what will build your discipline, and that's what separates those who get stuck and those who move forward. If you're feeling stuck or lost in life, then click here to learn 3 practical steps to gain clarity on your goals, and I hope this video helped you. All the best.